everybody, and welcome to Rene's Spiritual Ways. In this video, I am going to be talking about hoodoo and how it came about, and if you want to start practicing, how to start a spiritual practice utilizing hoodoo. So hoodoo is actually its own practice within itself. It has its own rules and its own history. So it is a combination of a couple different spiritual practices. Hoodoo began not long after indigenous Native Americans and African slaves and Europeans came in contact during daily life back in the colonial era. So approximately 388,000 American people from various ethnic groups were shipped to British North America, that's present-day Canada and the United States of America, between the 17th and the 19th century as a result of the transatlantic slave trade. So unfortunately, there was this big, huge shift in the world from other indigenous people coming together and being united in slavery, and, forced out of their own homes and from their own beliefs and their own traditions, but with combining them in one place and bringing into their, the European influence of the Bible, you have American influence of spirituality, and then you have the African Americans that came over here that already had their own sacred practice of spirituality, religion, or whatever the case may be. And all of those combined, and hoodoo's kind of a melting pot. So it definitely takes traditions from all three of those aspects, which to me is super cool because the power of belief is immense. And I believe that hoodoo was born from a very dark time in their lives. However, they were able to find their path to the light. So they took this negative era and said, you will not take our faith from us. And, I think spiritual path, knowledge is the key. And I just love, my spiritual practice is kind of like a symbolism of hoodoo, not Judaism, hoodoo. Just because I have practiced a lot of different spiritual paths. I've read up on a bunch of different, spiritual practices, religions, and all that. And there are quite a few that I kind of make a salad out of when I'm doing my spell work. I take knowledge and pieces from a lot of the things I've been educated on and put them into my spell work. But hoodoo, I'm definitely intrigued. I have done some reading on it, but now that I'm doing this video for you guys, I'm definitely going to dive deeper into it because it truly is really, really, really cool, despite the fact that it came out of a piece of history that was very, very dark for so many humans. But, with take the good with the bad, I guess. Had I been back then, I certainly wouldn't agreed on enslaving anybody, but it is what it is, and with that, we have hoodoo. So hoodoo is considered to be root work. So hoodoo was first documented in American English in 1875 and was used as a noun, the practice of hoodoo, or as a transitive verb, as in hoodoo you. An action carried out by varying means. The hoodoo could be manifested in a healing potion, or it could cause harm which befalls on a targeted victim. So you could either heal someone or harm someone. So I would definitely look at that as like healing magic and protection magic from my magical background. That's definitely how I would look upon that. So let's get into in African American, hoodoo is often used to refer to as a paranormal consciousness or spiritual hypnosis, a spell. So, but in fact, every thing I read about hoodoo, it says the practice isn't even called spells, but work or chores. So, it contradicts what they call it. I get it. I guess I understand why they would call it a spell, but if we want to talk facts about the hoodoo roots, it's either called work or chores. Okay, just to clarify that. So, hoodoo may also be used as an adjective for a practitioner, such as in hoodoo man. Known hoodoo spells date back to the 1800s. Spells are dependent on the intention of the practitioner and the reading of the client. So hoodoo is a spiritual and nature-centered practice, which, if you watched my video about Wicca and paganism, they worship nature as well too. So with more benefits than mischief, which is, everybody wants to put, if it's not what they're practicing, they want to try to put a negative persona on that. So just because, the movies portray hoodoo doctors and, and all that stuff, you really have to investigate it yourself to look at the 360 view of what something is, So that's what happens when we start to explore. So specifically, a major component of hoodoo is healing, which involves the use of natural remedies to cure various types of physical and mental conditions. Hoodoo practitioners can also use their gift of knowledge to create specific recipes for mojo bags, powders, floor washes, and so on to bring about what you desire. So, a mojo bag is a bag that you put together in a specific color bag, either red, blue, green. All the colors mean, something different. And it's either to draw upon within the mojo bag or to push away. So bring on luck, money, health, wealth, happiness, joy, and push away negativity, violence, and use it as protection. That's what mojo bags, powders, and floor washes are all used for. So any of these can help a struggling business make money. Any of these can help you find love. And any type of desire that you have. It can also help a couple that's having difficulty conceiving a baby become parents. There's certain ailments that definitely heal certain aspects, and a lot of people who practice these spiritual ways and not mainstream, and it's kind of not popular, they still practice a lot of herbal remedies. They also tap into different energies than a regular doctor would. Sometimes it's not a medical issue, it's an energy block that you have within your body. Or it's an issue that you have in the relationship with your significant other that the universe says you need to fix this before you can move forward in being parents. Or, if you're looking for love and, they make up a potion for you, maybe you're not loving yourself enough. And until you can't love yourself enough, that external love isn't going to come forth because you're not radiating love back to it. Because like attracts like. Makes sense? Sorry, I got off course a little bit. Just wanted to do a little bit explaining. So they can also assist you with their divination tools and help you answer certain questions that you may have about a certain situation for see your future. They can use their divination tools to ask, what are you looking for, or what do you need to stop something or to bring something in. And with the divination tools, I use the tarot cards, I use pendulums. I also, when I was seeing clients before this crazy pandemic, I can read people's jewelry. So a lot of people would bring in their jewelry from their passed on loved ones, and I could definitely read their energy there. Sometimes there was messages on that jewelry. And sometimes there was a spirit that would come with one of my clients. I'm not a medium. It's kind of like a by chance thing. If there is spirit in the room and spirit recognize me and I recognize them, I do, and I'm able to communicate and pass on messages. So and in this way, that ancestor could tell me what the client needs, or what they say, hey, the universe needs this energy change, can you assist? And so within Hoodoo practice, they are huge on ancestor worship. Well, honoring them, not worshiping them. So it's actually the core of Hoodoo is a practice of ancestral veneration. The honoring and even worshiping of ancestors is practiced around the world. Many African religions have a foundation in the behalf that one's ancestors play an active role in the life of the living even after death. Egyptians, thought this. Whenever I call upon, creating a circle in my sacred space to conjure up my spells, I always ask for passed on loved ones, guardian angels, and spirit guides to be present. So I already do this within my practice. I do not have a altar, which I will get into that. So the spirits of the dead are invited into the household so that they may influence the family and provide blessings and protection. The intimate relationship between the living and the dead is a complex and multifaceted exercise of remembrance, respect, and reconciliation. So, practicing with the ancestors' power and with their influence is huge for Hoodoo. So the power that resides in and through Hoodoo practices comes directly from the strength, endurance, and wisdom of those who came before us. And establishing a relationship with our ancestors is vital to the success of every working, charm, trick, and candle burning used in the tradition. Without the assistance of our ancestors, trying to perform workings is like shooting in the dark, hoping to hit something, resulting in a lot of wasted time and energy. Our ancestors don't just power magical workings, they also guide our steps so that we can avoid mistakes, negative situation, and also, if we do make mistakes, we can recover from them quickly. They will assist us in that. The real strength of conjure man comes from foresight provided by their ancestors through their ancestral altar. So, yes, they do have a space that is set aside in the home. It's a quiet place. You do a spiritual cleanse of the table, and a basic altar that you can set up for your ancestors would just consist of a Bible, a candle, and a glass of water. That's the bare bones of an ancestor altar. If you have photos of them and you're able to put it there, great. Plant your tree that represents the tree of life and the ancestor tree, connection. Also, leave a glass of water. Some Hoodoo practitioners say leave a glass of whiskey or rum. I think it's whiskey on the altar. Don't quote me on that. And, just set aside a space. If you can only do the basic, a Bible, a book, a Bible, a candle, and a glass of water is the bare bones for it. Google it, look into how to set up a Hoodoo ancestor altar, and the list is as teeny as this and as big as that. So whatever, like I said, once you guys get into this practice, it becomes your practice. So however you feel comfortable setting it up, that's how it's going to be, and it's going to work for you. So this is your personal practice. So if it doesn't feel right, don't do it. And if it feels good, continue on. That is my advice for everything. So also amongst practitioners of Hoodoo, the Bible is often referred to as the most powerful conjure book in existence. For traditional root workers and conjure men, the scriptures contained in the Bible are considered powerful spells that are able to cause good or bad circumstances in one's life. But the Bible's power doesn't stop at its written word. The physical book itself can be used as a charm to cause protection or turn away gossip. For many of those who are new to conjure, the use of the Bible can seem contradictory. and cause confusion as to how it fits into the magical tradition of hoodoo. Allow me to shed some light onto this. So, when enslaved Africans arrived in America, due to the transatlantic slave trade, they held on to the core of their indigenous practices. Despite their beliefs, life in captivity would eventually shape and mold their faith into a new worldview through a process known as syncretism. The syncretism of their original faith system and their new exposure to the Protestant and Catholic religions served to weave both into something new, a faith system that allowed the old and the new to exist simultaneously and without conflict. Instead of rejecting the Bible and its tenets, the Bible was absorbed and respected as a holy book. While the majority had faith in the words of the Bible, their understanding of its scripture was organically filtered through their understanding of the natural world and their place in it. Before becoming enslaved and forced to live in the new world, the spiritual practice held by those captured people was diverse and colorful. There were and still are many spiritual traditions practiced in Africa. But all of the various traditions did share several central beliefs. These central beliefs include the understanding of animus, which teaches that every living thing has a spirit and a type of consciousness. The practice of ancestor veneration, which teaches that our ancestors still play an active role in the lives of the living, and the understanding of supernatural forces that could be wielded by those who are aware of it or born with a gift to manipulate it. The magical and spiritual beliefs that slaves shared were superimposed onto the stories found in the Bible, giving new light to the moral lessons contained within its pages. The understanding of the Bible that developed for a slave expanded into the perspective of the characters of the Bible, most notably Moses as a powerful conjure man and the miracles he performed as incredible spells. The new cosmology saw God as the supreme creator who blessed a chosen few with the ability to conjure, and it gave the precise direction on how to perform these conjurations. As slaves were shipped across America, their understanding of the Bible came with them, and it was passed on in certain households from generation to generation. Every day, the majority of African Americans who practice hoodoo would consider themselves Christians, but their perspective of their religion is heavily influenced by West African spiritual traditions. Both magic and religion can live harmoniously side by side because of the conjure person. There is no separation between the two. Over time, the African American culture was exposed to other cultures that found magical power in the words of the Bible. The most prominent being Jewish mysticism. The 6th and 7th book of Moses became available to African American communities and quickly became a staple in hoodoo practice. The Bible remains a central text to the practice of hoodoo because of the integral role in the development of the tradition. So cool, right? So they took this crazy time in their lives, and yet they worked and weaved all of their ancient knowledge that had passed down from ancestor to ancestor, from person to person, from grandmother to granddaughter, from mother to child. Like and they molded hoodoo into what was being forced upon them, but again found the light in it and found the connection. So it's not necessary to be Christian to practice hoodoo, and there is a desire in the younger generation of workers to distance themselves from oppressive history of slavery, including Christianity, which I do understand that, but please just look at this and let me know what you guys think. Like, subscribe, share my videos. I'll